Hey, my name's Emch from Subatomic Sound System. I'm a Dubspot instructor. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Livid Instruments DS1. It's a new MIDI mixer that was designed in conjunction with Dubspot. I'm going to demonstrate dub mixing using this mixer in conjunction with Ableton Live and the Ableton Push controller to take it to the next level.
And unity. Say universal, yes, around the whole world. And unity, once again this life between yes, you and me. Say universal, yes, around the whole world. I'm talking to the little children, the boys and girls and
I used to use an analog mixer, and I was always surprised that no one came out with a digital MIDI mixer that just simply replicated what was on an analog mixer. I can honestly say I've probably been waiting 15 years for something like this to come along. It's an incredibly well-built device, and just breaking down the flexibility of it, it's also a very comprehensive controller. Each channel can be used either as effects sends, or depending how you set it up within your Ableton session, you could have one have EQs, one have effects, whichever you want. You can adjust it by channel. Now, in addition to that, these buttons here that on a traditional mixer would be mutes and solos, which is how I have it set up. You can also change the mode. So you have a stop clips on channel button, you have a launch clips on channel button, and then you also have a mode where you can adjust the recording. You can select channels and adjust whether it's record enabled or not. So you can see whatever I select here is going to be record enabled. What we also have in this small grid over here is the option to go through scenes. On the left, these are buttons that go up and down through scenes, which is how I was navigating this session. I have a play scene button. On the top row, I have play, stop, and record. When it comes to dub mixing, there are a couple important things to take into account. Now, the original dub mixes were done by producers back in Jamaica using relatively simple setups, 4 8-channel boards. Artists like Lee Scratch Perry, King Tubby, his disciples Scientist and King Jammy, and then Clive Chin over at Randy's studio. So what you get with something like the DS1 mixer with 8 channels, and on each channel you have 5 sends, this is actually quite advanced and gives you a lot of possibilities, believe it or not. Although 8 channels may seem like not many to some people, when you're actually mixing music across that compared to what, say, a DJ is doing with just 2 channels, 2 stereo channels, you can do a lot of things. Now, in this case, I just created in Ableton 8 separate tracks, and that's all I've got. On the first 2, I've got some drums. And you can hear, these are actually somewhat similar patterns, but I've got some different drum sounds going. On the next 2 channels, I've got some bass lines. These are kind of call and response parts, and again, I have them varying over scenes. On the 5th channel, I've got a melody part, basically looping over a progression that I can bring in and bring out. On my next channel over, I've got an automated, I don't even know what to call this sound. It's just a sound. And that's perfect for dub. That's what you want sometimes, is things that are just sounds. On the next channel over, I've got some of my guitar skanks cut up with a bit of a vocal out of a track I had. And I've got some variations on this across channels. And on my final channel, which I only bring in occasionally, I've got a vocal from a singer I work with named Treasure Dawn.
I wanna tell you about peace and unity.
So just combining those elements right there is enough for me to do a relatively complex track, combined with the fact that I can move across scenes and have variations and different musical parts. It's a very powerful combination to use the technology that Ableton has in conjunction with an old school dub mixing technique. The second important thing when dub mixing, besides the layout on your mixer and just having manual control, is what you're actually doing with the send effects. Now, the DS1 can be set up to control different things on each channel. The way I've got it set up is using their Livid Ds1 plugin just to control the sends. So every single one of these on every channel controls 5 different effects. Let's take a look at a drum channel to start with. This is a great spot to look at dub effects because primarily dub was spatial effects. Like I said, a combination of reverb and delays. And so as I go through, I'm working with a few different plugins here. And in different tracks, I'll work with different send effects. In this case, the one I've got on send number 1, my first return channel, is one of the Dub Machines effects called Diffuse. And you'll hear right here how that sounds. Now, the Diffuse plugin can give you a lot of different options. In a way, it's modeled after a traditional tape echo, but with much more depth to it and a lot of possibilities. It's really wide sounding. It's a bit more clean than the tape echo. It's not as gritty. But it's got a lot of great possibilities. What I'm doing there is manipulating the feedback and the speed of the delay, and that's allowing me to create almost filter sweep type modulation. Now, my next effect down is the Dub Machine's emulation of the tape echo. Let's hear how that sounds. Now, I've got a very fast delay running there. You've also got a spring reverb happening. If I control over here my feedback on my return channel with the effect, I can get that building on itself. That's another crucial aspect of dub. Not only do you have the send effects, but you can also control their feedback level, which is what I'm doing with these knobs I've mapped over here on the right side. Now, this is similar to the original tape echo, but it's got some differences too. It's got a lot of options. It's a Max for Live plugin. Both of these dub machines are very interesting tools. Now, my go-to effects, which I use a lot as the band leader for Lee Scratch Perry, are a traditional space echo, and I've got that on actually my 4th channel. On my 3rd channel, I've also got a spring reverb. I use both of these from the Native Instruments guitar rig plugin. Now, I've used a lot of different devices over the years. I find that the one thing I like about them is they're very efficient and stable, and the sound is very old school. And if you manipulate them right, you can get it to sound almost exactly like the real thing, which I like a lot. I like having that old school feel. I also use the filter delay in Ableton a lot. Again, it's really stable. I turn off the left and right channels and just focus on the center channel. The important thing about your echoes and delays is not to have too many going on at the same time, or you end up cluttering the rhythm up. Now, in this track, I got pretty busy with it. I would never really want to get any busier than that. Even this way, I was having only a few channels having delays on them at the same time. And because it was sort of a percussive track, there was enough space to create some soundscapes and some washes, but that's the important thing, is that you hear the rhythm of these echoes in any dub mix, a good dub mix. But then the third thing is to create an element of surprise in your mix, and that's something that often you won't get when you're arranging something manually. Now, let's just take a look. What I'm doing there is just cutting back and forth between different channels, and what that will allow you to do is hear certain instruments cutting back and forth, creating a call and response between the sounds. And that's something that having your hands on a mixer is really great for, because you can just go with what you feel, and oftentimes, like I said, find results that you're not going to get just by cutting and pasting and mousing around in the computer. Even other controllers aren't going to do it the same way as this. The great thing about Ableton is all these moves can be recorded in from your session view over into an arrangement view, or even you can create an arrangement and dub it out after that and record all those automation moves in as well. I love using the DS1 in conjunction with the push, because it gives basically the features that you don't have on the push in terms of a bunch of extra knobs and faders. And while I could use it alone, using it in conjunction with the push, I'm able to also incorporate compositional elements. I can use it both live and in the studio. What the push gives me is a great grid of pads, touch-sensitive pads. I can record parts. As you saw in the beginning of this, I could do some live fills to lead into the track, some sound effects, things like that. External synths or other instruments plugged in through this entire setup, and it also works great in conjunction with those. But you have a lot of power just with the Ableton push, being able to compose here, combined with the DS1's ability to mix and throw effects on the individual channels. Hopefully that gives you a good overview of dub mixing using the mixing board as an instrument, specifically the Livid Instruments DS1 mixer in conjunction with Ableton Live and the Ableton Push. If you want more information about Dubspot classes, whether online in New York City or in Los Angeles, go to our website, dubspot.com. Thanks so much for watching.
Them worship extermination, a European scheme. Big double dip on the station, a the American dream. And now we brought down to the cream, put on the Yankee dollar. And all of we leader them rely on them just falla. So all my people them galang 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 yo. All the beats them off the galang 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 yo. All the beats them off the galang 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 yo. We go makes them just galang 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 hey.
Money, 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 root of all evil. Money, 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 root of all evil. Some kill for it, blood spill for it, black water get many dollar bill for it, like Bill Gates and Bill Law. Money, money, money that they kill for.
Welcome to Dubspot. We believe in providing you hands-on experience right away. Whether you're completely new to music and want to turn the sounds in your head into a musical reality, or you're an experienced artist looking to refine your skills and add new tools to your arsenal, we're ready to meet you at your level. For students of all ages, all levels, and all styles of music, Dubspot is here to help you achieve your goals. With course offerings both online wherever you are and at our school in the heart of New York City, we are ready to guide you through the next phase of your musical transformation. Whether you want to produce music, DJ, or do both, you've come to the right place. Come explore Dubspot